Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Reti in the 5-minute pool on ICC. Reti is an international master rated 2220. I feel like I played them before. They played d5 against my knight f3. Let's go g3. So we'll play this system that I've referred to as the lazy title players opening in the past. And maybe we can go c4 and see if they want to take or push. He opts to push. Let's undermine the center red way, and we're going to play a reverse Benoni is what's happening here. Let's castle. I'm not afraid of e4 because of rook e1. Yeah, and f6. So black's going to set up kind of the reverse of a system that I play a lot. And an early bishop g4 because black wants to get rid of their pair of bishops. Or more accurately, they want to trade off a piece that might be problematic for them. I think a3 is reasonable, but maybe knight a3 is an interesting way of playing. And then I'll try to put the knight on c2, and maybe it can prop up b4 in the future. We'll find out. So let's go here. They can play a5 and try to stop b4. Nope, they're going to perhaps allow it. I wonder if I should play it as a sacrifice. That would be intriguing. I'm very tempted to. But I think also playing like rook e1 or something is fine. So b4, knight takes b4, knight takes, bishop takes, rook b1, bishop moves away. Can I crash through on b7? It's probably not quite happening. But I think I can play queen b3 and maybe bring about pressure there. So I'm going to play it as a sacrifice. And we'll find out. Maybe I can get this bishop on g2 involved. Remains to be seen. By the way, by the time you guys watch this video, I'll be in Dallas playing a chess tournament. I've just decided to pre-record a few different types of videos just to spice up the channel while I'm gone, in addition to my regular programming. So you'll probably see a Blitz video, a bullet video, maybe one or two other things in there. So bishop back to d6. Yeah, so I have pressure against b7, but I can't capitalize on that right away, can I? Queen b3 is what I was thinking. Let's do that and attack b7 this way. Now maybe move this knight. Like knight d2 trying to come to e4. See if we can create some problems. That unleashes the bishop. Not like I'm planning on playing bishop takes b7 on the next move, but maybe knight e4. Also, I like my position, the position of my queen here, because if black ever castles, maybe c5 is coming. So I can't get the bishop into c6 to skewer their queen. I could play, I think, knight e4, though, and attack this bishop, and if I can get that bishop, maybe bishop a3. Okay, so I think they're planning on knight e7 next move. Bishop a3, knight e7. What then? Or maybe f4 is what I should play? f4 take, bishop takes. How's that working out? Let's try that. I'll try to attack them from a slightly different angle. Who is Reti as well? I'm curious as to the identity. Johann Echavarria. Yes, I remember that name. I think I've played this player before. Okay, so let's take. Probably they'll take with the bishop, because if they take with the pawn, they wouldn't be able to castle. And now, do I play bishop a3 or bishop f4 or something else? c5 also comes to mind. c5 would be most dynamic, but I'm afraid they just would play bishop e6 against that. I probably want that dark square bishop. But bishop a3, they just cast a lot of danger, don't they? Let's play bishop f4. Maybe I'm not getting as much compensation for the pawn as I would have liked, but we'll see. Probably castles, and then bishop takes e5, f takes e5, and proceed from there. I might play rook e1 then. Maybe they're a little bit worried about the possibility of c5, but I don't think they have to be. Yeah, because now if c5, there's just bishop e6. Can't really take here favorably. Queen a3, perhaps. Yeah, let's send the queen here to bother that a7 pawn. I know I'm dispensing with any c5 check opportunity, but I didn't see any future for the queen on that diagonal. Knight g6, perfectly logical from black. So let's back this rook up. Probably they're going to put the knight here. on e5. I could trade queens or propose a trade with queen d6, but am I really gaining anything from that? I don't know. Doesn't look like it. It's just hard to find play in this position as it stands. Okay, I'm going to bring this over. The queen is holding the pawn on d3, so for the moment I'm not concerned about that. If ever I could set up some shot on f8 by removing this knight, that would be pretty cool, but don't hold your breath. I really doubt that's going to happen. Bishop to h3 would make sense for black right now, I think, just proposing a trade. Maybe they can use the g4 square in the future as well. So if I take, they take with the queen, and then knight g4 is coming very quick. Maybe rook back to f4 now, but they can just trade and then knight g4. And that knight is always getting into that great square. It's hard to prevent that now. Trading isn't going to help much. Kind of at a loss of what to do. Take, knight g5? Such a empty threat, though. I think I'm going to try it, at least. To try to make something out of this. So he can't take it because of the mate on f8 that would happen, but he just move his attacked queen somewhere. I'm going to play knight f3 and attempt to attack the knight and maybe escape to a rook ending a pawn down, or a heavy piece ending a pawn down. This would be a huge challenge, though. I'm down a minute on the clock, and I'm down a clean pawn. Not my best showing in this game. But hey, it's Blitz. I've been in worse positions, let me assure you. I'm begrudgingly making this trade, but I don't think my options are good. Otherwise, Black's knight was just looking superior to mine. It might come into g4 and create a lot of trouble. So let's see if we can swap it off. Maybe after the swap, I can play rook f4, attacking the queen and also the pawn. There is a possibility this d-pawn could be weak. Technically, the pawn that black is up is on the king side right now, so maybe that can provide me with some compensation. Oh, and a7 is hanging too, isn't it? I couldn't take it when the knight was still on the board because d3 was loose, but now queen takes a7 is a threat. Probably they should play like rook f7, something like that. Guard along the 7th rank. That move also is good. Let's go rook f4, kind of eye this pawn. Yeah, they might try to invade with their rook. So I need a counter to that. They're going to put that rook on e3. All right, I got to try to maneuver and get some squares for this. Let's go here, but rook e3 is always coming. All right, I'm going to play for activity and see if we can force through f5. I know I'm giving up d3, but it's pretty desperate at this point. If h6, I'm going to play h4 and leave everything on the court, to use a sports analogy. Let's say, this is bad news for me. Guess I got to do this. This is not good. They can just trade down now. Just pretty much trade everything off. If it takes, they can even just push. I'm completely dead now. Just take on g5. I'll still play it out just because, but this is not going to end well. Yeah, here I can safely resign. Okay, so I lose to Reti. They converted that game nicely when they were up a pawn, but I just never quite gathered enough compensation. Probably I need something more concrete right here, right? Like maybe rook takes b7 doesn't work. Knight takes e5 doesn't appear to work. I'm just going to put the engine on this position before we go back through. h3. I think h3 crossed my mind. Okay, well, let me go into examine mode so we can look at this game. So experimental setup with g3, bishop g2. So we get into like a reversed Benoni. And black played a setup involving f6 and bishop g4, kind of a weird-looking combination. Just curious what the engine thinks is best right here. A3. Yeah, A3 would be typical, trying to go B4. I thought playing knight A3 and maybe bringing the knight back to C2 in preparation for B4 would be okay. And they could try to shut that down with A5, so stop me from pushing. But sometimes I might even return the knight to A3 and then jump into B5. Black has a solid position in the center. They've got 2 center pawns to my 1. The only thing is their development lags a bit, especially on the king side, so it's going to take them a couple more tempos to castle. So this happens, and maybe my instincts were right that this was decent, but probably not after queen b3. Yeah, then rook b8. Queen b3 seems to conform to a lot of principles or goals when you sacrifice material, right? You try to create further threats and use the initiative to your advantage, but after rook b8, I kind of came to a dead end. I really struggled to find play after this. So it seems like instead, queen b3, rook b8. Yeah, it would have been better to play h3, attacking the bishop. And then if take, I have this idea. And then I get in queen h5 check, forking the king and the bishop. Right, so if like f takes e5, check. Or even... The engine even points out that rook takes b7 is strong, but
check.
Even something like this, I think, would give me a big advantage. Say we swap the queens. Now I've, well, I didn't win back a pawn. I guess I'm still down a pawn, but I have 2 dominant bishops, and especially I have control over the light squares. I think that's key as well. But that rook takes b7 move might be just superior. Hit the queen, queen f5, guarding against queen h5. Bishop e4, hit the queen again. And white has full compensation for, what am I down right now, a full piece? Yeah, because we sacked the knight on e5. But the engine thinks that white is doing spectacularly. Queen g4,
check.
Queen a4 check, king f8, bishop a3. And the attack continues. Yeah, so there might be a sacrificial continuation like that. There seems to be. Not that black has to play bishop takes h3, allowing knight takes e5, but if h3 is valid, then that's a good piece of information, knowing that I can play this move next. Yeah, if I would have known that then, or realized that, I would have played h3 for sure. Because if they take here, I take with the queen. Now we've got more pressure on the b pawn, and they can't play b6 because that rook hangs on a8. That's important. So that was a crucial moment right on move 14. So I went queen b3 and then rook b8. I played knight d2 as the computer advocates, so trying to find some avenue for the knight to get in the game. f4, so looking to break up the position a little bit. But I didn't notice too many big opportunities after this. We'll see what the engine has to say, but I think black played quite well, and I never felt like I had compensation for the pawn. Here, knight d2 or knight d6. Knight d6 is a funny move, because if queen takes knight, then the bishop on g4 hangs. Still, though, black holds an advantage even there. Note that if c5 check, again, black can block on e6. So they can block with the queen this time and even propose a queen trade. So queen a3 I played, and then knight g6. And when this knight got to e5, I was hating my life. And then here I played knight g5. Fancy looking move, but it's pretty toothless. I was hoping for this.
Check.
I was playing a little hope chess, looking to mate them on f8.
Checkmate.
But of course black doesn't take the knight on g5. They just backed up the queen.
Check.
And generally, as you guys probably well know, when you're down in material, as I am here, I'm down a pawn, you should strive to keep pieces on board. But I just felt like if I didn't trade that knight on e5, black's knight would just be better than mine. And I didn't like the knight coming into g4 and attacking my rook, and also hitting h2 and potentially even getting into e3 in the future, where it could be an outposted piece. So I played to swap that knight, but downhill after this. And he played well. I wasn't able to drum anything up. g4 followed by h4 was a last-ditch attempt, but black calmly played rook takes d3, and queen h3 refutes my position entirely. Now rook g3 is a threat, so I don't have time to go pawn hunting, trying to break open their king, because this will win my queen. And after this simplification, black ran their d pawn. I have to get back to stop it. And here, black could even win probably without the extra pawn. Well, probably not, because my king is quite close. I could come up and win, but the extra pawn on the king side, or extra 2 pawns if they had simply played f takes g5, definitely seals the deal. So he just played f5, and my issue is I can never trade down here. And if I play rook takes d2, I'm in a completely losing pawn endgame, 2 pawns down. So well played by Reti after they won the pawn. That's a position where you want to be looking for a tactic, though, after rook b1 and queen b3. It felt like a critical position. It felt like I had to find some continuation, some way to prop up my initiative, or it would slip from my grasp. And as the analysis indicates here, that seems to be the case. I had to find something like, after rook b1, instead of queen b3, that h3 move. So this turned out to be an error. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll be back again soon with another video. Talk to you guys later. Bye.